Okay, hey there, and welcome to the deep dive.
Yay.
We are jumping into a really fascinating stack of sources you shared with us today, all about, the fast-moving world of AI. It's kind of everywhere right now.
It really is. Everything from warnings about jobs, like really stark ones, to some surprisingly personal stuff people are doing with it.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack all this material you gave us.
Hmm.
We want to pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts, and just get beyond the headlines, figure out what all this actually means for you, our listener.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
So kicking off with what might be the most striking finding from your sources,
Huh.
this survey, it shows nearly half of Gen Z workers are relying more on ChatGPT than their own boss for work questions. Like, wow, right?
Right. It's a resume survey based on like over 8,600 full-time U.S. workers. So pretty big sample.
Yeah.
And yeah, the numbers are kind of wild when you dig in.
Kind of wild is definitely putting it mildly.
Like 51% of Gen Z sees ChatGPT as, a coworker or an assistant, which
Yep.
makes sense, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that part cracks.
But it goes way beyond that, right?
Yeah.
36% see it as entertainment, 32% as a companion, and get this, 21% as a therapist.
A therapist. Seriously. So they're not just asking, like, how do I format the spreadsheet? They're
Right.
like, really? Maybe talking about personal stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Some even spend like an hour or more
Hmm.
just chatting or playing games with it during the workday.
An hour.
The source calls it this all-in-one resource they lean on for personal and even like emotional support.
Okay, that's different, unexpected. So why prefer an AI over, a human manager? What's the thinking there?
Well, the survey broke that down too. For 49% of Gen Z and actually 47% of millennials too. So it's not just Gen Z.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's simply faster. It's non-judgmental. It's always available 24/7.
Right.
And you don't feel awkward asking what might seem like maybe a basic or even a dumb question to a person.
Yeah. Right. No fear of judgment from the AI. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Mhm.
And the source connects this to maybe weakening trust in managers, especially with remote work, where people might feel, a bit disconnected. Is that part of it?
Precisely. It says Gen Z is actually building,
Yeah.
and they use the phrase a real relationship with AI.
Whoa, a real relationship. Okay, that's where it gets really interesting. It's not just a tool anymore. It's becoming something else entirely.
Uh-huh. And the why it matters point from the source is pretty significant here. It predicts that in just 2 or 3 years, these kinds of tools, like ChatGPT,
Yeah.
they're going to be integrated as official workplace mentors or assistants, even formal mental health support options, especially in, hybrid or remote companies.
Official mentors, like assigned by the company.
That's the prediction.
Yeah.
It's quietly changing who we turn to when we need help or advice. A really fundamental shift.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So from potentially ditching your boss for work questions to AI as your therapist, that's huge. Okay, let's broaden out a bit. Moving to some of the other significant points raised in your sources, and not all of them are quite so personal, I guess.
No, definitely not. The sources also highlighted some pretty serious potential downsides. One stark warning came from the Anthropic CEO, for instance.
Oh, yeah? What did he say?
He suggested AI could wipe out 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs in just 5 years.
50% in 5 years. That's a massive number.
It is. He even put a figure on potential unemployment, suggesting it could push it way up, like to 20%.
20% unemployment, like the Great Depression.
Yeah, similar levels. That's a really serious prediction to grapple with. Puts the whole thing in perspective.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a different kind of impact altogether.
Totally. And, while AI is pushing boundaries creatively, like with that WSJ film, My Robot and Me.
Oh, I saw that. They made it using AI tools, right? No cameras.
Exactly. Google VO3, Runway AI, over 1,000 clips generated. But the source points out that slop still exists.
Slop. What do they mean by that? Like imperfections or glitches?
Yeah, exactly. The AI equivalent of maybe a weird visual artifact or dialogue that doesn't quite land right. It's not perfectly polished yet, needs that human touch.
Okay, so the tools are powerful, but you still need that human oversight to fix things up. Makes sense.
Right. And speaking of things not being perfect, the sources also brought up Grok, Elon Musk's AI.
Yeah, what about it?
Apparently repeating climate denial narratives.
Yeah.
It was citing debunked and fringe viewpoints in the name of providing, balance.
citing debunked views for balance. That really raises some big questions about the objectivity of these tools, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
where did they draw the line? Is it starting to sound more like Musk than science, as the source kind of hinted?
Absolutely. It's a huge challenge. And this leads us to another crucial point the sources make, which is really about the human element behind all of this tech. It highlighted the ghost AI raters, the labelers, the moderators, the people actually doing the work behind the scenes for things like Google's Gemini.
Okay, the people who are doing the really painstaking work of training and refining the AI, what about them?
Exactly. And they're fighting to unionize because of, like, low pay, no perks, facing layoffs.
Yeah.
Even their team leaders apparently get fired pretty easily.
Wow, so the people who are literally making the AI function, making sure it understands the world correctly, are facing these kinds of conditions. It's that often invisible human labor enabling the tech we all use.
That's exactly it. It's kind of the hidden human cost, you could say, of this rapidly advancing technology. The sources also touched on a few other quick developments.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Let's see. Google Photos hitting its 10th anniversary with new tools. Superblocks Clark for enterprise AI app building.
Okay.
Humane raising a huge $10 billion venture fund backed by NVIDIA and AWS, highlighting Saudi Arabia's growing role in AI.
10 billion. Wow.
Yeah. And XAI paying Telegram, like $300 million for Grok distribution. Duke University giving students free GPT-4o access.
So lots of money and access changing hands.
Definitely. And Anthropic reversed its ban on using AI for job hiring, which is interesting given the CEO's warning. And Google teased something called SignGemma for translating sign language to text.
Sign language translation. That's pretty cool. So a real mix of things happening across the board.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Okay, so we've looked at the personal connection, the potential job disruption, the challenges of bias and imperfection, and the human labor involved. Let's shift gears a bit now and look at some of the practical applications, the kind of new tools popping up that your sources highlighted.
Right. Yeah, the sources listed several examples of new playbooks and tools that show how AI is being applied to specific everyday tasks right now, things people can actually use.
Like that vibe coding playbook, an AI coding approach inspired by like YC founders. That sounds pretty niche.
Yeah, exactly. It's taking AI and focusing it on a particular skill set. Or Gamma app for creating content quickly, slides, websites, social posts, without needing heavy design skills.
Oh, yeah. Making content creation way faster. I can see the appeal there. And they mentioned TapFlow 2.0 for turning documents into sellable guides.
Or Jog AI for whipping up product photo or video ads instantly.
Instant ads. Wow. And what else?
Tools like Kaleido to search like over 200 million profiles for sales or hiring needs.
200 million. Jeez.
Koso.ai for automatically creating social posts from branded content, and Underlord, which is apparently an AI editor agent specifically for Descript, the editing software.
Okay, so these are just quick snapshots from your sources showing how AI is being used right now to automate or, really assist with very specific practical jobs. It really shows the breadth of what's happening, doesn't it? From code to content to sales.
It absolutely does. It's embedding itself into workflows all over the place.
And speaking of how these tools work and where they get their information, this next point was one of the most surprising insights from your sources, I thought, about something maybe people figured was, well, on its way out.
You must be talking about SEO, search engine optimization. That section title really grabbed me. SEO is not dead.
Yeah, exactly. It really debunks that whole myth that AI killed SEO or made it irrelevant. Based on research analyzing like 25,000 real AI search queries, they found this pretty surprising pattern.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the pattern they found?
Okay, so get this. If your website ranks #1 on Google for a particular search query, you have about a 25% chance of being chosen as a source by AI platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and even Google's own AI overviews.
Wait, hold on. So the AI is like actively pulling its information, its source material, directly from the top Google results, even when it's generating its own unique response.
Precisely. That's what the research indicates. The source explains it, and apparently some insights came out during Google's big antitrust trial.
Oh, really? How does it work then?
Well, it's kind of like a three-step thing. Step 1, the AI selects the top documents based on Google's highest ranking pages for that query.
Yeah, so it looks at the top of the SRP first.
Yep. Step 2, it pulls the relevant answers from those specific top sources it just selected.
Gotcha. Finds the juicy bits.
And step 3, the models then generate a cohesive answer using that information they just gathered from those top-ranked pages.
Okay, so Google rankings are still the foundational layer. the starting point for where AI gets its knowledge. That's actually kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
That's what the research strongly suggests, yeah. The top 10 results on Google still win. And the higher your rank within that top 10, the higher your visibility is going to be in these AI platforms.
Wow.
It's like maybe less about having the best overall pages anymore and more about having the best specific answers that rank high on Google.
The best answers that rank high. That makes sense. And the source mentioned something called necro content here, right? Like niche content.
Yeah, exactly. Micro content, niche, hyper-focused content that directly answers very specific questions. That's becoming like the most valuable digital asset.
Why is that?
Because that's what these AI models are looking for within those top-ranked pages when they're pulling information to synthesize an answer. They want clear, direct answers.
Okay, so the big takeaway there is, building that kind of modular, intent-first content that answers specific questions and ranks high on Google is still absolutely key, maybe even more important now.
Exactly. It helps you dominate both traditional search and this new world of AI visibility. It's kind of the underlying layer for both, it seems.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We covered a lot of ground here, didn't we? From Gen Z, potentially getting career advice and maybe even therapy from AI,
Right, the personal connection.
to these stark warnings about potential job shifts, the often unseen human labor that's actually powering these tools.
And the challenges, like the AI not always being objective, the slop factor.
And then wrapping up with this really surprising point about how AI still relies so heavily on the existing web structure,
Yes.
specifically those top Google rankings.
It's a super complex picture, right?
Mhm.
This mix of personal reliance on AI for support, the potential for massive economic disruption, the human cost behind the technology that enables it all,
Yeah,
and then the tech itself relying on existing human-curated systems like web pages and rankings. It's all tangled up.
it really is. So, thinking about all that, this whole tangled web of reliance, humans depending on AI, AI depending on human systems and human-generated content, and even the human labor that trains the AI. What does that ultimately mean, for the future of work and how we access information? Like, what does it really mean to trust an AI coworker or rely on AI results, knowing it's built on this foundational human effort and existing web structures, and knowing, as we saw with Grok, it can even spread misinformation sometimes?
Yeah, that's the big layered question, isn't it? How does that complex interplay shape everything? There's no easy answer there. It's definitely something to really mull over how all those pieces fit together and influence each other going forward.
Definitely food for thought. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive into these sources with us today. Really interesting stuff.
My pleasure. Always
Well,
fascinating to unpack this.